It's Tuesday, the 20th of May, and a very warm welcome to the very first tropical outlook of the 2025 season. A warm welcome. Thanks for clicking on. If you're relatively new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the large scale look at the weather, not just locally here in the UK, but across the world. And in today's video, we are going to look at the onset of the monsoon, which is appears to be on track to arrive earlier than normal, and the reasons behind this early arrival of the monsoon. And also, we're going to look very quickly at the tropics as well. A little reminder: this upcoming Sunday at 4 p.m, the 2025 Atlantic Hurricane Season Forecast will be released here on the channel, so stay tuned. Mark that in your diaries. There will be a link in the description below the next couple of videos for that. And obviously, with that comes the 2025 European Summer Forecast as well. So, yeah, let's get right to it. This is off the GFS ensemble, looking at the Indian Ocean precipitation anomaly over the next 7 days. And to get your bearings right, this is the Indian Ocean. We've got the Africa to the left of the screen. We've got the Arabian Peninsula. We've got India and the subcontinent at the top middle portion of this graphic, and then we've got Southeast Asia, the Malay Peninsula, through the maritime continent of Indonesia. And over the next 7 days, we do have a very significant amount of rainfall, especially across the west coast of India, anywhere from down towards Kerala, north of Mumbai. And we have got a very significant amount of rain, upwards of 250 millimeters beyond the average, and we could see feet of rain over the next 7 day period. You can see here very heavy rainfall through the Bay of Bengal and also up along Bhutan, Nepal, the foothills of the eastern Himalaya range as well. And this is obviously among some of the wettest places in the world. Through parts of Bangladesh and northeastern India. But the jet is going to activate at 200 millibars. That is going to enhance the monsoon trough that is now starting to edge into parts of Sri Lanka and the very south mainland of India. And over the next several weeks, we're going to continue to see this pulse of monsoon energy continuing to track northward. So, like I say, this is the anomaly compared to average over the next 7 days, and you can see wetter than average across the vast majority of India, with the exceptions of the northwest up towards the Thar Desert and into Pakistan. We've got around average rainfall. Basically, the greens and the purpley colours represent excessive rains compared to average. The whites represent average, and the yellows and oranges and even light reds represent below average rainfall. You notice here large parts of Southeast Asia and into Sumatra, the Malay Peninsula, generally over Malaysia, is generally drier than average, if you notice, over the next 7 days. But then get yourself down towards Java, into Lombok, Bali, and over to the eastern side of New Guinea. We've got wetter than average conditions here through the Greater Sunda Islands. Here we've got wetter than average conditions, but up along the majority of West Sumatra and the southern portion of the Malay Peninsula is drier than average. Play through this loop here, you can see that we've got still healthy amounts of pre-monsoon moisture. I'll get there. Pre-monsoon moisture. We're also increasing the rainfall across parts of Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. We're seeing wetter than average conditions develop here as we move into the day 6 through 12. Again, India doing very well in terms of rainfall, and then things will gradually start to ease off. And look at how dry compared to average the Malay Peninsula and West Sumatra is. Papua New Guinea is drier than average as well, quite firmly drier than average. And then we're starting to lose that positive anomaly across the majority of Indonesia. Why is that the case? Well, if we look at the Manjulan oscillation, it is becoming quite strong. So enhanced convection, so we're enhancing the level of moisture within the atmosphere and the atmosphere's ability to generate showers and thunderstorms. That is over the Indian Ocean and edging towards the maritime continent over the next 7 days here. Hence why we're seeing this early uptick in moisture across a broad area of the Indian subcontinent. That pulse is going to eventually start to pull into the West and Central Pacific. You can see here that on the western side of this graphic, this is the Indian Ocean here. There's Indonesia between Australia and Southeast Asia. You can see the greens here representing where the Manjulan oscillation is present. So phases 3 into 4 and 5 over the next week to 2 weeks. So we're going to increase the rainfall here. And then as we progress through this 40-day graphic, you can see that the oranges replace those greens, and therefore we're going to see a decrease in rainfall as we move towards the first couple of weeks of June and meteorological summer. So at the moment we're increasing the rainfall thanks to the presence of the Manjulan oscillation. As that pulls eastwards, we're going to see the downward branch of the MJO, and therefore we're going to increase subsidence, and we're going to dry things out in due course. Looking at the total precipitation in of the GFS model here, and let me just bear with a second here and we'll play through this loop. We'll just look at the GFS operational for today, and I'll get the right chart and go back to the current period. So you can see here this pulsating of energy over the next week to 10 days. So this is total accumulated precipitation. And we start off quite wet across parts of southwestern India. Play through this loop. You can see how the rainfall totals really start to mount up along that west coast. Western Ghats, for example, picking up a tremendous amount of moisture as it comes in aboard a southwesterly jet. That is enhancing the rainfall on the west coast of India. We're also seeing energy rotate up into the Bay of Bengal, so we're going to start to see very heavy rainfall into the northeast of India, Bangladesh. Play through this loop. You can see here how those rainfall totals really start to mount up. We're talking in excess of 500 millimeters of rain, by the way, between now and the first few days of June. You can see three areas, in fact, over India that's picking up significant amounts of rain. Pretty much the entire west coast. Obviously, the Western Ghats Mountains. I'm not entirely sure how far inland this mountain chain, this north to south mountain chain runs, but essentially the lion's share of the moisture is getting driven in off the Arabian Sea and is bumping up against the wall of the Western Ghats. Beyond that, into the Deccan Plateau, we're not seeing anywhere near as much rainfall as what we're going to see points to the north of Mumbai all the way down to the southern tip of India. We've got another area here along the central east coast, along the Bay of Bengal. We've got a tongue of excessive rainfall extending from the coast all the way up towards Naipur. We've also got along the foothills of the Himalayas, northern portions of Bhutan into Bangladesh, and down along the coastal strip of Myanmar and Thailand. We're seeing some very heavy rainfall. In the parts of Vietnam, we're going to pick up some significant amounts of rain over the next couple of weeks here also. So that is rainfall totals. Some interesting tweets here by All India Weather showing that the next 4 weeks rainfall expectation summary: above normal rainfall expected the last 2 weeks of May, and dry conditions and below normal rainfall through the first 2 weeks of June. So first week, 19th through the 26th of May, most parts of the southwest and east India will receive above average rainfall. Second week, above normal rainfall will cover most parts of central, north and east India. Week 3, which takes us to the 2nd through the 9th of June, a break phase likely to commence with dry conditions and below normal rainfall. As I've said, the Manjulan oscillation is going to rotate and push eastwards into the Pacific. Therefore, we're going to see the downward branch of the MJO squash the rainfall potential over much of India, the Indian Ocean, and then eventually into the Southeast Asia as well, with some normal to above normal rainfall over the foothills of the Himalayas, northeast India. Week 4, 9th through the 16th, almost the entire India will receive below average rainfall and dry conditions. So this is obviously the thing that we need to consider with the monsoon. Is it's not just once it arrives, it's here to stay. It comes and it goes, and that is going to be the case. We're seeing a lively early start to the monsoon season, but it will eventually start to ease back once again due to the MJO pushing eastwards. So looking at this other tweet here from 4 hours ago, again by All India Weather, the 200 HPA zonal wind anomaly is forecast by the GFS model through the 30th of May. Suggests anomalous easterlies up the north of the MP. This suggests that the overall monsoon circulation has established itself at least up to Maharashtra, Telangana, the Odisha, and up through West Bengal through May 31st. So that is your mean zonal wind increasing, showing the circulation becoming more established with the monsoon situation across the Indian Ocean. Again, some remarkable thunderstorms getting blown up over the subcontinent. Very, very intense rainfall associated with this. Flash flooding will be a big problem, and remarkable massive thunderstorms have been observed over Goa, northern Karnataka, South Maharashtra, and the North Karnataka. These storms can trigger massive flooding, rainfall, and strong winds. Please remain watchful and updated through the period here. So that is that. Let's move on to the tropics then. And the National Hurricane Center do not expect anything in the Atlantic Basin over the next 7 days, as can be seen here in this graphic. Now, the official start of the hurricane season begins on the 1st of June, but it's actually the 15th of May, the beginning of the East Pacific season. And you can see here that the NHC does actually see some sort of potential development off the southwest coast of Mexico over the next 7 days. And that is something to keep an eye on. If you look at this graphic here of the GFS model, let's blow it up just very, very quickly, and I'll show you exactly what I'm trying to show and look at. So just bear with me a second, and we'll get there. So play through the loop. This is obviously looking at the Atlantic Basin. There's Africa, Iberia, UK, and Ireland. Then you go across to the western side of the Atlantic Basin. You've got North America here on the left-hand side of the graphic, Mexico and Central America, South America. Obviously, the intertropical convergence zone where the trade winds meet is well to the south at this time of the year, very close to the equator itself. So you don't typically find anything developing at this time of the year, especially the further east you go, between the Leeward Islands and Cape Verde and the African coastline. This tends to be fairly quiet at this time of the year, but you've got frontal systems still dropping south out of North America into the Gulf and Caribbean. These are the areas that you need to watch. Water temperatures are warm. They're deep, warm waters, 27, 28, 30 Celsius, even in a few spots across the Caribbean Sea. The southern Gulf of Mexico is still pretty warm and conducive, but the further north you go, the shallower the waters are, and along that coastal shelf, the waters are quite shallow. So therefore, cooler masses that drop off North America tend to cool the SSTs in the northern Gulf a lot more efficiently than further down towards Campeche, the Florida Straits, the gap between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula. The Yucatan Straits is what I was trying to get at there. These are deeper waters and tends to be more affected by the loop current and the Gulf Stream. This is where the source of the Gulf Stream is positioned down in the Caribbean Sea. It goes between the Yucatan Straits, through the Florida Straits, and up the east coast towards Europe. That is the origin of the Gulf Stream. So anyway, I'm digressing here. Looking at the latest model of the GFS here, you can see that we play through the loop. You've got the convection along the convergence line well to the south of the graphic here, close to the equator itself. You've got some convection developing over the Central America region. But I want to draw your attention to this feature here that develops off Nicaragua and Honduras here. This system appears to develop off the latest run of the GFS, and that is probably the feature that the NHC is keeping an eye on. Looks as if it's going to try and develop and drop into the 970s and millibars, possibly developing into a tropical storm water temperatures here are warmer on the western side of Central America as opposed to the eastern side, hence why the season begins on the 15th of May as opposed to the hurricane season that begins on the 1st of June. But you notice here very little in the way of activity through the main development region, into the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Things are reasonably quiet at this stage, hence why NHC doesn't see any sort of threat in the next 48 hours or the next 7-day period, which is obviously good news. We do have some convection that blows up. We need to keep an eye on maybe clustering of rainfall. Sometimes at this time of the year, you try and get a little spin up developing over those warm waters, and that is something that can happen at this stage in the springtime, early portions of the summer. But generally, you've got a lot of dust. You tend to have a little bit more hostility in terms of the mid and upper level winds over the main tropical Atlantic at this time of the year, so you don't usually get anything developing out over the open basin at this point in time. So nothing to concern ourselves with here. This is another reason why the monsoon is beginning to develop a little bit earlier than normal. But I think it was 4 out of the last 5 years has seen a fairly robust start to the monsoon season. So we're back to the monsoon. We're back to South Asia. Water temperatures are warm, very warm. Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal, this is like a bathtub, 30, 31 Celsius water temperatures. They are warmer than average, and therefore that also provides a little bit more energy with regards to convection. You obviously start to heat up the Indian subcontinent. We're seeing temperatures into the high 40s, knocking the door 50, especially across the northern plains region of India. Once you get that heat really starting to build at this time of the year, that is when you lower pressure over the Indian subcontinent. You've got higher pressure over the Indian Ocean, and therefore winds then get drawn towards that low pressure system over the land, and triggers the winds and the rainfall and the monsoon rains at that. But you can see very warm waters along the west coast of India, the eastern region here, anywhere from Thailand to India. We've got water temperatures widely 30, 31 Celsius, plenty of juice for the atmosphere to tap. So anyway, that is the first tropical outlook of the 2025 season. Coming up this weekend is the all-important forecast, both for European summer as well as the hurricane season, so stay tuned for that. Hope you're enjoying the content. Be sure to hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button as well. More coming up today with the European outlook. I'm getting myself confused. The European outlook will be released later on as well, so stay tuned for that. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you next time with more. Bye for now.